Hello, welcome to my channel once again. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can send and receive data from a custom application using the essential REST API service. Let me share my screen. First, I'll be going to my browser before we start working with the APIs. You are going to be seeing my browser very soon. Okay, so before I believe you can see my browser now, but before I even start with any kind of explanation, let me just paint the scenario that we have. So oftentimes, in some of my previous videos, you saw that we have a particular class that is for application, and we saw a list of various applications, sample applications that we can have in our enterprise environment. I can remember we had Oracle HR. You can have applications like ServiceNow. You can have Fresh Desk, you can have Office 365, you can have anything, any application, depending on your environment. But sometimes you might be working on a custom application. So rather than using a an enterprise level application, a popular SaaS platform, you might be using an application that you built internally within your organization, and you are able to um you have access to the complete codes and things around that. So in such a scenario, you might want to, let's take HR for example. Let's say you are not using something like Seamless HR or Oracle HR, and you have a custom HR solution. You might want to send data from your HR solution to Essential Cloud, and you might also want to send data from Essential Cloud. You might also want to feed data from Essential Cloud into your HR solution. So in such a scenario, you can leverage on um, this REST API service. This is a screen that we are all popular with when it comes to REST API. You can choose how you want to communicate. If you are working from a .NET application, you can see C Sharp over here. If it's in native, if it's Node, you can see Node here as well, and just choose what you want. We have Objective-C. If it's from a mobile app, we have PHP and the likes. So that is that, by the way. I will be using Postman for this demonstration, but you can always, as long as your application has the ability to send requests and receive response, you can always customize it to what you need. Postman is very generic. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to authenticate. If we should scroll down here, it tells us how we can authenticate. So at the barest minimum, it says that you need global environment variables. We have API domain, which is the URL for our essential cloud. API domain, like in our case, this is our API domain here. This URL is our API domain. panoramic.essentialintelligence.com. Then API repo ID. So the way I get my repo ID, there might be a fastest way, but there might be a faster way. But the way I get my repo ID is I come over here, I come to repository administration, and I click on copy repository. Okay, the moment you even just click on repository administration, you automatically see a parameter here, repo/7D 35 and the like. So this is the repo ID for pre-production. If I want to work with Sandbox, this is the repo ID for Sandbox 44 and the likes. If I want to work with my production environment, this is the repo ID for it, 37 EAC, blah blah blah. So I believe that is clear how we can get our repo ID. So then authorization. So the authorization is our bearer token. I will show you how you can get that token. Um, I'll show you how you can get that very soon. Then our API key. Your API key, you need to get it from Essential Cloud. So I trust humans. I believe human beings are very trustworthy species, and yeah, you're not going to use my API key or my password or my email address or any sensitive information from my tenant instance for anything bad. But I'm not just in the mood of sharing sensitive data right now. So I will just show you where you can get your repo ID, and you'll be able to copy yours. But I won't be showing you my full repo ID. No, I'm not going to do that. I was contemplating masking some aspect of the repo ID, but I don't have time for that for video editing. So what you just need to do is from your profile, you go to settings. You can see me here. So this was what I did. I went to my name from this menu. I clicked on my name. I click on settings. Okay. So now I'm going to scroll down slowly because I don't want to get to where my API key is visible. I will scroll down slowly so you can see tenant API key. If I should scroll down more, you are going to see the API key. But this is where you get it. Under user settings, you are going to see your API key. So you can see tenant API key here. If I scroll down more, the API key, you'll be able to get it from the screen. And as I said earlier on, I trust human beings. I think we are very genuine and trustworthy species, but I I'm not just in the mood of sensitive data. I'm already showing you my email, so that's enough sensitive data for you. Okay, so we've addressed API key. So we have all that is required for us to communicates with the essential API. Remember what I said earlier on, the scenarios that you need it. External application wants to get data programmatically from Essential Cloud, or you want to feed in data into Essential Cloud, or you want to feed in data into Essential Cloud. This is something that you should also explore as well. Okay, so let's proceed. Yeah, so let's proceed now. Okay, so I'll be sharing my Postman. I'll be sharing Postman very soon. But before I do that, let me just secure my Postman so that my password, my API key will not be completely visible to the entire world. Okay, so I hope I haven't shared my Postman. Okay, so let me go to okay. So let me stop sharing and I'll share my Postman now. So I want to share my Postman now. Okay, so now we want to start communicating with the Essential API. As I said earlier on, the first thing is you need to get a token. That's the only way that the Essential server will know that you have the right privilege to be able to communicate with that particular tenant. And how do we do that? Is through the API key and your password. Okay, so let me get the URL first. As I said earlier on, I am particularly concerned. I'm not so concerned, but I'm trying to ensure that I'm not exposing myself to the internet, my sensitive data to the internet. So this is the first URL that I'll be using. Remember, it's a post request this time around because we want to get a token back and we want to submit our username and our password. So it's a post request. So ensure this is post. This is our URL. This is our tenant, panoramic-essentialintelligence.com/API/OAuth/token. So now we go to body. I'll click on raw. And now this is where I'm going to paste the credential. I'm following the API documentation that I showed you earlier. But before I paste what I want to paste, I'll just try to scramble it a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let me just paste what was in. Yeah, we have this grant type password, username. I'll change it to something that probably does not exist. frankliayo@gmail.com. For password, I will change it to password 123 hash. Yeah, so we are done with the body. So what we now need to do is we need to go to our headers and our content type, change our content type to applications like JSON. Okay. So from our API documentation, apart from that header, we also need to specify X API key, X API/key. And over here, we paste the API key here. So API key can be something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, 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 blah. I'm just simulating this, but I would create another tab where I would have the correct API key so that you'll be able to see the response that will be generated afterwards. So we have this. Then with this, our headers is set, our body is set, our URL, and a post request. Then we can now send this request. So the moment you click on send, then you are going to get a bearer token. Okay, let me stop sharing and I'll show you a valid one that is quite valid so that you'll be able to see what the request looks like. Okay, so let me clean up my Postman for you to be able to see. Okay, so now I'm resharing my Postman. I believe um I've removed all sensitive information. Yeah, so this is it now. I send this request. This is a valid request. The only thing I just changed was the password now. I just removed it. But you are going to get a bearer token as well as a refresh token. And there's an important thing you need to take note of. The bearer token expires in 5 minutes, while the refresh token expires in about 360 minutes, which is a lot of time. Okay, so we can see that we've been able to authenticate. So if you are using the BR token, it means that if you are making use of it, you need to use it fast because the time before it expires is quite shorter from the refresh token. So after sending this, you have this request. What you now need to do is you need to copy either the bearer token or the refresh token. You need to copy this token. Then you would go to a new, now you already have your token. So now you can access resources or feed resources into Essential Cloud. Let me stop sharing. Let's go to our browser so that you see the what we are sending. Okay, here's my browser. Yeah, this is my browser. So I am starting with the first request, but before I show you that, let me just show you how I got. So this is the request for the authentication. You can see API domain slash API or token and the parameters, the headers that you need to use as well as your body. So you can see what I did over here. And you can see how you can do it from refresh token. So this is the URL, API key, and grant type should be refresh token. Refresh token, then you apply the refresh token that you got as well. Okay, so you can use any of these two to be able to um, get your your appropriate response. So now let's go to the core API under business architecture. So the first request that we have here is being able to get all the business domains that you have in your Essential Cloud. Let's say we want to feed it into our maybe your HR application or your CRM application or something. Probably you want to feed them from, let's say, your Essential Cloud is your source of truth. So let's say you have it from an Excel document that you've imported into Essential Cloud and you now want to um, use Essential Cloud to feed those data into the different custom applications that you use within your organization. Okay, so you can use this URL. We have the URL here, API domain, which is the panoramsnergy.essentialintelligence.com/API/essential core/version 1/version repository/ the API repository ID, which I showed you earlier on, either the one for your sandbox production or pre-production /business domain. So we can work with this as well. So, and we now need to enter our headers. So content type, application.json, authorization. We need to choose um we need to enter bearer space our token. So type in authorization as the key, then in the value space, you enter bearer space your token. Then next API key, you also need to input your API key as well. So let's go back to Postman. I believe this is clear, and I'll show you how you can do that. Postman, let's see. Okay, so I think you can see. Am I on Postman? No, I'm not. Okay, let me stop sharing. I shared my browser instead of Postman. Okay, so this is Postman now. Okay, so let me open a new tab. Let me copy the URL for business domains. Now we want to fetch business domain, so it's not a post request. This one is a get request. So I'll copy this. It's a get request. So ensure this is get. Then I post this. So you can see our, so I have even exposed my repository ID over here, but it's fine. The repository ID is not useful without the API key. So except you have my API key, you won't be able to connect to it. But it's still a sensitive data. I trust human beings and I know that human beings will not disappoint me. So in terms of the parameters, um, what we need to do, because it's a get request, we are only going to set our headers and let me tell you the headers that how you can go about your headers. So we start um with our content type application.json as well as XAPI. So over here, I'll just type content type. This will be application slash JSON. Then our XAPI key. And I'll slot in the valid API key, but because just I just want to show you the process, I just put simulate something fake here. And apart from this, we need to add our bearer token. So what you can do is you can either come over here, type in authorization, then you put bearer space, then where we had our our token, which was here, you copy this bearer token here, copy everything here, and you paste it here. So bearer space your token. Yeah, so I believe that makes sense. You can either do it that way, or if you like, you can come to authorization. For your type, you come to bearer token, then you slot in your bearer token here. You paste it here. Yeah, so it automatically pasted it. So this is the bearer token here. So you can do it that way as well. If I should come here, um, it's likely, yeah, it's already part of our um it's part of our authorization. Okay, so I believe that's clear. Okay, so it's on top. I was looking for it. It's on top. You can see it's automatically filled here. Authorization value. So you can do that or you can do it manually by typing as well. So with this, with the headers, you don't need anything in the body because it's a get request. Then you can just send this. The moment you send this request, you are going to get your request. So I'll stop sharing, then I'll modify the API key and I'll send the request and you will see what we have. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so I think I can show you now. I hope I've cleaned up everything that needs to be cleaned up. Okay, so I think you can see my screen now. So the request was sent, and you can see the response. So over here, you can see the list of the list of business domains as part of um the response um as part of the parameters within the response. So you can see business domains, all the business domains that we have in that our repository. This is the pre-production repository. So you can see all the business domains. So if it's an external application, you would have access to all of this. I think this was I was working with the sandbox. That's why you are seeing some business domains that looks, you can see store 55 underscore blah blah blah. So in subsequent videos, when I use business domains that seem like it's for a real organization, you see business domain that actually makes sense. And I think with that, you will have a clear understanding on the importance of business domains. So this is how you can get data programmatically. If you should go through the essential API, the documentation, let's go back to our browser. Where's my browser? Where's my browser? Because I do not want this video to be too long, so I would just kind of like put a pause here. But this documentation is very, very clear. It tells you exactly what you need to do. So you can see the core API here, business architecture, application architecture, strategy management, and the likes. If you want to work with utility, we have different versions in the utility API as well as the platform API, and you can go into them. You can go into them and see what depends on what you want to do. Like the business domain that we worked on. So we did the one to get all business domain. Can also get specific information from a particular business domain. We can navigate to specific business domains. If you are not working with HTTP and maybe you are using call to communicate with the server, you can select call and you'll be able to see the commands that is localized for call usage with the call command. So I think this is very, very clear. So I just want you to see that there's an essential API, and it is particularly useful when you have customized application. I mean, that's the scenario when you have external application, when you have customized applications, it might not even be customized, but an application that gives you access to API. You are able to send API from the application, from the server, and you are able to receive API responses as well. Yeah, so basically that's the use case that comes to mind. And in an organization, especially when they have customized application, that's when you really need to be um, to want to interact with the enterprise architecture platform. So if you find this video helpful, educative, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.